Give us an example of a story of a patient that you have that they were on, a list of diabetic medications, maybe even insulin, and you were able to get them off that medication by helping them change their lifestyle.
Couple different experiences, but one in particular stands out. This Latino gentleman who came to me because I am fluent in Spanish. He had just been seen in the hospital for what looked like an MI. It certainly was not a STEMI, so he didn't have a stent placed or anything like that, but it was a non-STEMI. He was started on a bunch of medications. He was started on metoprolol and a couple other, like a diuretic and things like that. He was also found to be type 2 diabetic, and his A1C was 13.2, right?
Whoa.
So his
wow.
sugars had been high for a long time.
Yeah.
And so what happens in the hospital when you have someone with an A1C above 9? They're almost always placed on insulin, and they're discharged with insulin. And so he was also started on metformin while in the hospital. He was in there for 5 to 7 days, discharged to my clinic and established with me. Then over the first hour of me meeting with him and educating him on what type 2 diabetes is and the problems of not only the sugar, because he had basically eliminated sugar, but what else do you think he was eating as a Latino gentleman? Well, a heck of a lot of tortillas,
right? Yeah, I mean, 20 grams of carbs per tortilla.
Probably 8, 10, maybe more per day. He's loading the carbs without really realizing it, that term wouldn't have made any sense to him then, right? But with some education saying, it's not just the sugar. You've been focused on the sugar, but carbohydrates become sugar in your bloodstream, but also it is the insulin. And so within the first, we controlled his sugars for a while, and I didn't discontinue the insulin the first day I met this guy. But over time, when we were able to show that his sugars were going down with a better nutrition plan, I'll get to what I said here in a minute, but he was able to carefully cut back on that. And he was only on 10 or 20 units. So it wasn't crazy. I have other stories of people on 70, 80 units where we have to carefully, meticulously wean them down there. They're going to go hypoglycemic so fast, right? The guys from Verta Health, Steve Finney and his crew, they carefully wean people down in like 6 to 7 days, and they see a massive improvement in the A1C in that time, which most of us say, how is that? It's supposed to be a 3-month window. No, they actually see it that fast. But back to just spending the time with this gentleman and saying, okay, well, did you know that the refined grains that you've been eating, the breads, the cereals, the breadsticks, the pizza crust, the pasta, the tortillas, these are a problem as well, and you should avoid them at all costs. And if you do consume them, have it be much, much less than you're used to. Well, it didn't take long for him to do that. And within a month or two, we were checking A1Cs, and they were down to the 10 range, and then a couple months later down to the 8, 7 range. The guy got down to 5.7 on his A1C.
That's non-diabetic. It's right?
Pretty much. My lab says 5.7 and to 6.4 is pre. And I check fasting insulin and the C-peptide on everybody, and also calculate their triglyceride to HDL ratio. And all three of those things tell me whether they're already insulin resistant. And I can pretty much just say that's pre-diabetes, whether your A1C is 5.1 or 5.7. I don't care. Because if your fasting insulin is 50 and your C-peptide is 5, it's a problem. And you're going to become diabetic before you know it. So you're pre-diabetic, in my opinion. Or in my patients, I say pre-diabetic just to make them feel a little better.